Okay, welcome to the Division 2 open beta on the PlayStation 4, and this video is going to be about, well, what is the Division 2 all about? What is the Division all about, this series of games? You've probably watched some videos and you think, oh right, okay. Well, at its heart, the Division is a cover-based shooter, third person, where you can run from cover to cover. You know, it has a really, really nice shooting mechanic. And so basically you run around killing bad guys, bosses, and doing missions. So what has happened is that in the Division 1 there was a virus that was released on Black Friday that killed millions of people, and basically New York fell into disarray. And the Division is a kind of backup quasi-military force that goes in when traditional law enforcement and military fail, which is what happened in New York. And so the Division was sent in to clear out all the bad guys, generally bring law and order back to the city, you know, help develop it. And then at the end, one of the bad guys escapes. And then in the Division 2, what we have is the virus has spread all over America and presumably all over the world as well. And we've moved on to Washington, DC, because the seat of power has fallen. Well, hasn't fallen, but Washington is overrun with bad guys, and we've got to clear it out by going around and basically killing them all. Yes. And that's the kind of third-person shootery bit. And there's lots of stories. We've got to find out what happened, who's responsible, and stuff like that. So it's probably best to kind of look at the map to kind of see how this whole thing works. So we start off at the White House. That's our base of operations. But to start off with, it's a pretty bare place and not very powerful, as we're not very powerful too. And you'll see that the rest of the map is divided into these sections with different numbers, different levels on them. And this is where the Division gets a little bit different from other traditional shooters, third person or first person, in the fact that it has very strong role-playing elements in terms of how you develop your character. And the way it works is, as you do story missions, so for example that's a story mission, or clear control points, or find caches, or do there's another main mission there, or do side missions, or help people, or shoot enemies. As all this happens, you're getting more sort of XP, if you like, and your character is leveling up. Also, as you're going around, you're finding different gear, so different armor, different equipment that you carry on yourself, and different weapons, and they're higher and higher levels as well. And so what that means is, when you start off, when you're a level 1 character, you can only really operate in this first area here, because if you were to wander off into a level 25 area when you're a level 1, you couldn't kill the enemies, your guns wouldn't do enough damage to them, and your armor wouldn't be able to resist the damage they do back to you. So you have to clear out an area, doing all the assignments, doing all the missions, finding all the bits, getting all the loot, sometimes rerunning missions as well on different difficulty levels to get better loot and to level up, so that when you get to, so I think I'm level 4 at the moment, so like when I get to level 7 I would then be able to go into these areas there, to then take on those missions, and it kind of all starts again. Now this might sound a bit grindy and a bit repetitive, and I guess when you think about it, it kind of is, but because the gunfighting experience in the Division and the Division 2 is so good, I find it doesn't matter, you just enjoy doing it. Once you're into it and you're shooting enemies and rolling around and getting behind cover and popping out and throwing grenades and using your different gadgets, you know, it's really good fun, and it's a really nice experience to have. And the other thing that happens is, as you're helping people and finding different tech, your base of operations becomes more powerful, which gives you more perks and specializations, and all these bases become more powerful as well, and they send people to your main base to help out. The control points get more powerful, and it all kind of rolls in together. Now you don't have to understand everything to enjoy the Division. If, for example, we look at my character here, so we've got all his weapons here, and we can look at his armor, And so this is his backpack, and the backpack gives us certain armor, gives us certain attributes like perks, if you like, and depending on how you combine them, you get different sets that give you like better perks. But you don't really have to understand all that. All you need to really understand is the bigger the number, the better. So for example, with the guns, my AUG is a level 4 gun. So if I find a level 5 submachine gun or an assault rifle, I'll pick that up and use that, you know, and that's you can survive for an awful long time, especially if you just enjoy the single player, as I really do. I'm not really that much into the PvP. That's all you need to do. Bigger numbers are better. Armor that's got a bigger number, better. Guns that have got a bigger number, better. And you just walk along like that. And enemies that have a bigger number than you, run away to fight another day. And so as you clear a particular area, you will then go to another area, and you'll normally you do one main mission first, or you'll unlock a settlement, and by unlocking that settlement you'll then talk to people, and that will unlock a load more missions to do in that particular area, which again levels you up and levels you up and levels you up, which then gives you you go to the next area, you do the next story missions, you free the next settlements, you clear the control points, and you go like that, gradually clearing, in this case Washington DC. In the Division 1 it was the whole of, well, it was Manhattan Island in New York City, and it's lots of fun, and it's a great single player experience, open world experience, if you like, and if you're into shooters, as long as you bear in mind the RPG element, which means that lots of enemies seem a bit bullet spongy. You know, when you shoot at somebody, it could take 30 bullets to kill them, you know, a whole clip, or even more clips when you're going up against bosses, and when you're going up against enemies that are less levels above you, it could take a few clips to kill them. As long as you're happy with that, and you can get your head around with that, and I really like it because it's good fun firing these guns, and you always get loads of ammo anyway, you will enjoy that particular experience. Now, you also have, so then you proceed through the story, and eventually, you know, we'll find out the mystery of what's happened in Washington DC, and presumably we will take it back for the people, and then there'll be DLC that's going to be free for everybody that gives you more stories to do. Also, we'll have player versus player elements, which involves things like the dark zone. So the dark zones are places where you go in there and the enemies are a lot harder, and you'll be shot by other players as well who go rogue, so you can help each other, you can run around together, which you can do in the main game as well. You can play together, you don't have to worry about being shot by other people in the normal areas, but in the dark zones you can go around and people will fire at you and shoot at you and try and take the stuff you find, because you find good stuff in the dark zone, but it's contaminated, so you need to get it out to be decontaminated. Very excellent experience if you're into that sort of thing, because it's very nerve-wracking, because you don't want to die in the dark zone because you lose your stuff. There's going to be the dark zone, there's going to be horde modes, there's once you finish the main campaign and you get into what they call the end game, you're also then given a specialisation, so you can be like a demolition expert, you can be a sniper expert, you can be a survival expert, and then you take on these even tougher baddies. I can't, what are they called? They're called something like Black Horn or something like that. Anyway, really nasty guys, and you know you'll be doing missions against those. And so there's a lot to the Division. It's very deep, but it's also very simple, by just following the story missions, clearing out each level and shooting enemies. So that kind of gives you a background, and if you've played the Division 1 and you've enjoyed it, you will enjoy this. So here we go, let's just do a little bit of shooting. So you can see I'm kind of sticking to this wall here, so I can pop out and then I also have a rather nice little turret gun. And I've also got a nice M16. Now we can go from cover to cover. We can get our pistol out. And it has a very tactical feel, you know, the fact that you can do things like this. You can run from cover to cover. Oh, we've got a little bit of loot here. And you can take on enemies and you can flank around. And especially when you're playing with other players in sort of co-op modes on the missions, It feels very good indeed. So in essence, there we go. That's what the Division 2 and the Division are all about. It's a third-person shooter with heavy RPG elements, where in the Division 2's case, we are working to free Washington DC from all the bad guys, find out what's happened, and bring order back to the capital of the United States of America. Anyway, there we go. That's enough from me. Put any questions and comments down below. If you enjoyed the video, hit like. If you want to see more of the same, press subscribe. And I'll see you again soon.